Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're gonna talk about category cables or CAT cables or Ethernet cables. So what the heck it is? So let's dive right into it. I'm not talking about how to make it or something like that. It's just like what exactly goes on into it. So this is a physical link that we are talking about. Basically, it allows computer networking to be done. Now this could allow data transfer between two devices. Now these two devices could be dissimilar. For example, one could be desktop, another could be a switch, one could be a server, another could be a client. So things of that nature is possible. This is basically a data backbone. Now this is point-to-point connection. It's not like a wireless access point where there is one radio transmitter that is communicating to multiple devices using time sampling. Basically, like, okay, you talk to me, you talk to me, you talk to me. It's not doing like that. There is a dedicated physical connection to each device. Now you may be like, okay, why would somebody want to use this rather than the awesome convenience of having your internet anywhere, even in a bathroom? The simple answer is stability. It is very stable. Basically, once you connect this puppy, unless something bad happens like a rat or a fire, this puppy is supposed to work. Now this is reliable also. Why it's reliable? Simply stable because it's a physical link, reliable because there is very little that something else or something from the outside can affect it. For example, people who have microwave ovens, they suffer greatly when they are talking about their own Wi-Fi experience, simply because the moment you turn on the microwave, the insane amount of microwave energy that is being created, you are talking about like 1 or 2 kilowatt, it can easily overpower almost any communication devices nearby, and it creates enough of a hamper that your speed could be go from like I'm getting 300 mbps in Wi-Fi speed to like I'm barely getting 2. So that happens. That is very low. Like, it's not impossible, like you can interfere with these things, but it's like almost negligible. So this is very stable, very reliable, and it is also very secure because it's not like it's inherently not talking to everybody else, trying to communicate. It's inherently very hard to tap into. Not impossible, but very hard. Think of it this way, like there is a fiber connection coming into your office and everything is inside the wall. Now you can easily spot if some dude is shittling to the wall and then tapping something. You can easily see that. So from security point of view, it's not like indestructible. It's just like I see what you're doing, I see what you're doing. So that's why people want to use these things, and they are also cheaper. So the core logic, what goes into it, like at the fundamental level, that is twisted pair. You will always find Ethernet as a twisted pair. For some short distance or from some luxury reasons, you can have a flat cable, but most of the time you will always get twisted pair. The reason for these things are generally these pair denotes a circuit, a single circuit. So you will have like a white green, you will have white orange, you will have white brown, and you will have white blue. So white and color simply means one circuit. So you can see there are 4 circuits. Now why the heck do it in this twisty fashion? Simply it reduces electromagnetic radiation. Because think of this, what exactly this is a cable. This is a conductor with electricity going inside it. Now depending on the voltage, depending on the pulses that is being sent, it's inherently behaving like an antenna. So you do not want this to behave like an antenna. It's not supposed to be act like an antenna, and to reduce that, that's why they twist it. Now depending on signaling system, same thing is used in audio industry also with microphone connection. You will see like even a single microphone will have 3 pins. Why the heck they have 3 pins? It's like one is sent into positive voltage, one is sent into negative voltage. So if an interference happens, let's say a transformer is creating electrical interference near to the cable, then the moment the computer basically the receiving end equipment gets the signal, they invert the negative one. Basically it creates an inverted signal into the noise cancellation. It physically removes any interference. That's why twisting is compulsory. Now this makes sure that this does not act like a freaking antenna. It also makes sure it's shielded from the outside interference. That's why I specified, like, unless something very extreme happens, you cannot interfere with these things unless something very extreme happens. So this also improves rejection of EMIs, electromagnetic interference. Now benefit of that is, that's the core reason why our modern networking is possible. Think of this way, like when you're talking about a network rack, you're talking so many devices connected to each other. It's like, how the heck it's even possible? Like you're talking about like in less than a meter you could have as high as 100 connections. How the heck they are working? And each cable could be going from very far away. It's like some could be like, if in giant office building, it could literally be 100 meters long, and all of these things are creating electrical interference, electrical hoo-has. How the heck these things are working? Because of that twisted pair. That is the core fundamental behind it, and that's why you will never see flat ribbon cable used on these things, especially for long runs. For short run, you can go YOLO on that, but for long run, the moment you come out with a flat cable, now it does look cool. For some reasons people do use that, and I do understand the appeal of it. Heck, let's say if I'm connecting this TV and this TV is only limited to 100 Mbps for slow speeds, modern signaling chips, basically the analog to digital converter that we utilize, that's good enough at this point in time. It will handle the minor interference and all that jazz. It's like, yeah, I do want to blend it into the wall, have a or bend it under the carpet. So people do use flat ribbon cable, but it's never ever a proper solution. Proper solution is always twisted pair. Now, what does the CAT means? CAT is simply basically category. And think of it this way: how do you know that your Bluetooth headset will work with your mobile phone's Bluetooth system? Because there is an association, there is a Bluetooth association. Same happens with SD card, same happens here. There is a CAT basically association that is creating rule books, and these rule books have some guidelines, and those guidelines are generally more to do with physical and electrical connection. They are not talking about protocols. That's up to the basically for Microsoft or Cisco and these sort of companies to sort out. But for basically physical hardware, the physical cable, these companies are basically this association is creating categories. Now these rule could have something very simple. It's like, what is the gauge of wire inside it? Basically the actual conductor, what is the gauge of that? That could be let's say 28 gauge. That could even be, if you are talking very rich cable, you are talking about 26 gauge cable. So gauge of the cable. Then you are talking about how many twists per centimeter it has, or twists per foot. Now generally there is a very simple rule of thumb. If you go up in numbers, basically that twist goes up. That improves signal integrity. So you will have, like, if you strip cat 5e in 1 meter, you will not find that many twists. Cat 6, you will find more twist. Cat 6a, more twist. Cat 7, even more twist. Cat 8, even more twist. And this twist is kind of indirectly the reason why these cables are so expensive. Not only it takes more machine power to actually do that, there is a serious reality. It's like, if you take two cables and you have just like straight to straight, 1 meter cable is 1 meter cable. The moment you start twisting, it will start shrinking in the length, and the more twisting you do, the more shrink it gets. So you could easily end up in a scenario where it's like, wait a minute, this cable, like let's say cat 8 cable, it could be like 3 meters. The moment you unspool it, basically untwist it, you will be like, whoa, this is like 5 or 7 meters long cable. So that is another reason why these things are so expensive. So characteristic of the impedance, basically how long the electrical signal takes to basically how it's behaving electrically speaking, and based on that, handshakes happen, and that is the most frustrating part, and that's why you have to pay attention to the category. Now, assuming everything else is working properly in your system, your equipment, for example, it happened to me, basically my desktop and my router, they are very near to each other, barely 2 meter distance, and they have a cable connecting them. Everything is working, handshake is there, and handshake is on gigabits per second, basically 1000 Mbps. Everything is awesome. My internet is also fast, so it's like around 300 Mbps. So I can actually utilize that, because 100 Mbps, if my internet was like limited to 100 Mbps, having 1000 Mbps connection is useless. But I have a 300, and then randomly I started noticing every time I'm doing a speed test or trying to download files or anything, it's like limited to 99. Why the heck it's there? And then I checked the handshake. It was like handshake went down to basically 100 fps, and that happens. Now again, in my case, there could be a faulty plug, it could be a faulty jack or something like that, but generally it's a cables issue where cable is having a lot of signal degradation. So you people will simply suggest go to cat 6. And when you're talking about enterprise, when you are talking about like serious data where downtime is not acceptable, where you cannot like, hey, can you unplug and do replug it, or do this or restart again and again, that's not an acceptable option. People will generally spend more just to get that even more security, and it does not mean that, oh, now that will never happen. It's just that probability of that happening goes down from, let's say, 1% to 0.0001%, and that's worth it for large corporation. So you will see, like, that's why speed wise you will not see too much upgrades, but you will always see like cable going ludicrously more expensive, and that ludicrously more expensive, if done correctly, gives you a bit of peace of mind that handshake will never fail because of the cable, because the cable is not having signal integrity. And you can easily see how further your cable can go, because even technically speaking 5e can do a lot of the speeds, but the moment you make it stretch it out to, let's say, 10 meter, bye bye. The moment you stretch it out to 30 meters, yeah, very few cable can do that. Even 1 Gbps at 30 meter, very few cable can do that. The moment you are talking about 100 meter length, yeah, bye. That's simply bye. And that's why you see Linus Tech Tips latest video, they're like, yeah, buy Ethernet, just go with optical. So that's the reality. But that's why these categories have to be created. Without this, you will not know like which is the weak link. So to make sure that the cable itself is not acting as a weak link, they're like, okay, just buy cat 7e, and if then it's not working, and if the cable is true, you have fault somewhere else. handshake basically is the issue. Now what about the jacks, that actually go into the actually does the mating? Now these are generally categorized in two categories, RJ45 and RJ48. Now is very simple. RJ simply means a registered jack. Think of it this way: your USB or normal USB is jacked also, because you cannot do like this. It has to, unless USB-C can do two ways. And if you're talking about like old Nokia power cable, that was like directly going there, does not matter, barrel jacks basically. So this is registered jack. And what does this 45 and 48 means? Short answer, nothing. It's just a serial number or model number, if you want to call it that. Now they have what we call 8 position and 8 contact system. So cable inside, there are 8 slots, and you will have 8 points of connection between the jack and the connector. And RJ45 is generally used almost everywhere, including commercial and enterprise, but they are twisted, unshielded twisted pair. What does that mean? That simply means UTP. And unshielded in this kind of scenario means is there is no shielding grounding loop, there is no grounding connection from point A to point B. Now if you're talking about industrial environment where you have, let's say, plasma cutter, where you could have, let's say, some electrical arc welding machines, things of that type, things that inherently creates YOLO amounts of electrical noise, or you're dealing with something very sensitive, let's say audio equipments, or let's say radio equipment. You're like, dude, I want to be damn sure my equipment itself is not causing any, even a minute amount of electrical interference. You may pay more for getting RJ48s. At those point in time, you will notice there is a grounding sheet, and if you take a continuity testing, you will find this is grounded to this, and this, if done correctly, even your jacks have to be like. So if you say pay attention to almost all enterprise grade equipment, they will always have this grounded jack, and there is a good reason for that. If it's done correctly, you can be damn sure, even if you have something electrically noisy as plasma cutters, these puppies are like, I got this. Now does that mean RJ45 is very sensitive? No, more than enough time. Like almost like 98% of the time you're like, dude, RJ45 is your jam. It's like it gets the job done. But if you are in a scenario where it's like, dude, I want to be damn sure the cable is not the 41, people may pay more for RJ48. So these are the two primary things. Now doing it yourself is kind of very critical with networking, simply because networking is more or less like electrical work. You would never go somewhere, it's like, hey, I have this house, can you give me wiring harness for my house? You don't do that. You basically have to build it from scratch. Same goes with Ethernet also. Now Ethernet is inherently designed from day one to be built like, you know, in the office, things of that nature. However, in modern day-to-day life, even my small house has like multiple equipment that are physically connected using Ethernet. Now I was lucky that I had some cables laying around, but most of the time you will not be. And if you want to do proper management of those things, you have to do your custom cable terminations. Basically you will like, okay, from this TV to that router is around 8 meters, yeah, 7 meters, or like you may buy patch cord, but patch cord will never be made for that exact length. If let's say you need 7.5 meter, it will never be made for 7.5 meter. It will be made for like 5 meter or 10 meter most likely. Sometimes you may find like 8 meter or something like that. So you get the point. And if you have some awkward requirement like 34 meter, yeah, good luck trying to find that. Now that's the primary reason, and that becomes exponentially more hassle when you're talking about like a school or a college or an office building. You have to do this from day one. It was designed in such a way. So what does that mean? That simply means if you have the right tools, which at this point in time simply means a spool of cable and a crimping tool, and all these things can be had for less than 100 or less than 100. I mean everything, including a basic tape tester, so to say. Now again, higher quality tester which will test the integrity, because without that integrity testing you cannot be sure of the handshake. Now if you're just connecting basic devices and good quality cable, 1 Gbps should be easily achievable. 100 Mbps actual data transfer point A to point B should be easily done. However, if you're talking about anything higher than that, let's say 2.5 Gbps or 10 Gbps, you have to invest in much more expensive testers, because again, handshake is really tedious at this point in time. And whoever designed the internet protocol, they did not did the job properly, because handshake is like either I'm running at 10 Gbps or 1 Gbps or basically 100 Mbps. Like there is no in between. It's like, and that's why 2.5 Gbps was created. It's like everybody is like, dude, we don't need 10. Have a somewhere in between, like have somewhere in between, because we cannot just ask every Tom, Dick and Harry. It's like, hey, can you upgrade your cable to 10, like Cat 9 or Cat 20? It's like, it's ludicrously expensive cable. So handshake had to be improved. So that's why do it yourself is easily doable, and even a very cheap cable tester will do the job just right, more than good. And heck, if all you are connecting is like this basic smart stuff, printers, things of that nature, even 10 Mbps connection is more than good enough. You'll be like, I'm happy, everything works, everything is reliable, it's no longer like finicky Wi-Fi, it can be done. So that's my video about these things. So this was my presentation on what exactly is this whole Ethernet cable. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.